Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary, and today I'm going to be talking about several books that, in my opinion, have the most fucked up endings. Full disclosure, I got this idea from a movie channel, and it was a channel, I'll try to link the video down below if I can find it, but it was like 10 most disturbing horror movie endings of all time or something like that. So again, I will try to link them if I can find them. But without further ado, let's start off with some non-horror, and then we'll get into the horror books that I think, in my opinion, have really messed up endings. So number one, may or may not come as a surprise to people. Call Me By Your Name. What the hell? At the end of this book, I gave this book 5 stars. This is a male-male romance set in the 80s in Italy. If you've seen the movie, it's very vibey. It has that guy who was accused of cannibalism, I think.
So Army, thanks for joining me. I guess first things first, everyone wants to know, are you a cannibal?
Yes.
And Timothy Chalamet. What is his name? It's not Armie Hammer. Is it Armie Hammer?
Yes.
Regardless, this book made me sob. There's some really weird parts of it, like the peach, if you know, you know. Weird. But it's very textual. Not textual, textural. You can feel, the way things are described is very textural, in my opinion. And they did a really good job, I think, of capturing that in the movie. The movie is very good at, capturing all of the 5 senses, which the book did as well. But the ending of this book, it was good. It was a really good ending. I'm not saying these are bad endings. I'm just saying, to me, I put the book down and was like, what the hell? Second one is actually a book that I initially did not like very much, but after I thought about it, it was one of those books where I read the whole thing, it got to the end, I was like, wow, that's kind of stupid, and then I woke up in the middle of the night 2 nights later and was like, holy shit, that's what happened, and I did not realize until right then, and that is The Mars Room by Rachel Kushner. This book I have described before poorly. I don't really know the best way to describe this. It's told in multiple timelines, but it's not very straightforward about it being in multiple timelines, but I think it's important to know that going into it, because that will prevent you from being as confused as I was when I read this. But it's about a woman who is in prison in California for some crime. And it goes back and forth to when she worked at a club, and she has this son, and she had this boyfriend, and it talks about her life. It also follows the perspective of a dirty cop. It follows the perspective of a guy who works in the prison system, and he's an art teacher for these women in this state prison. And it also follows the perspective of some other inmates. And I remember describing it as being I didn't understand why we had those different perspectives. But again, I woke up a couple nights later after reading this book and the end of it, and I realized what happened at the end of this book and what that could possibly mean. And it is, in my opinion, a great ending. But it's also kind of messed up. Next up, the last non-horror on this list that I had to mention, A Little Life. This book is trauma porn, and I know that people love it. It's a booktube darling. I did not love this book. I do not recommend people read this book. I think if you really want to, if you read all of the trigger warnings and you think you won't be drastically affected to the point where it'll ruin your mental health, go for it. Who am I to tell you what to do? I'm not gonna tell you anything. But just be warned, this is one of the most disturbing, messed up endings to a book ever, and also middles and also beginnings.
I'm telling you right now, I seen what I needed to see. No.
So truly don't recommend, but I guess if you want to, go for it. Now we're entering horror land. So the first one I want to talk about, I actually don't have here to show you. Unfortunately, my library does not have a physical copy of it, but that is Come From Me With Apples by, gosh, I'm not going to remember who wrote it. It's Catherine, but it's spelled weird. If you have not heard of this yet, it was nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards in the horror category this year. It is a novella. It is very short, and I highly recommend it. But the ending, it's one of those novellas where the whole point is the twist. It's about this woman who lives in this perfect town. She has this perfect husband. She talks about how perfect everything is. And then through her talking about it, you start to realize that she knows that it's not perfect and that something else is going on, but she doesn't know what. And the other people are trying to warn her about what's going on. It's got a very almost Stepford Wives vibe to it. And yeah, I absolutely loved that book. The ending is really messed up though. Next up on disturbing books and messed up endings, we have I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid, another very, very short book. I read this in 2020, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, but the more and more I think about it, this is one of those books that I've thought about so much that I feel like I should bump it to a 5-star. Let me know if you'd like to see a video on that. I have a lot of books that I've given lower ratings that I think about so often that I feel like they should have a higher rating. So I might do a rereading vlog of books that I feel that way about just to see. how I ultimately feel about them, if that makes sense. So let me know if you're interested in seeing that. Vice versa, I also have some 5-star books that I'm like, I don't even know what that was about, so maybe I should dunk it down. I don't know. But this is about a girlfriend and boyfriend going to the boyfriend's parents' house, and you're inside the girlfriend's head and she's thinking about breaking up with him the whole time. Or is it? Is that what this book is about? So I love this book, but I got to the ending and it's like a one-line thing that happens, and like blink and you'll miss it. So I had to go back and like reread the chapter because I could not figure out what had happened. It's like when you're watching a show and there's like a turning point and you're like, how did that happen? Because you were looking at your phone or something. That's how I felt reading this. But when I went back, yeah, blew my mind and definitely very messed up. The next book I want to talk about is a book that I actually didn't end up liking the ending, but it was really messed up, so it fits for this video, and that's The Brightlands by John Fram. This is about a like small town in Texas who's obsessed with their like football team, and there's this weird like presence in the town that I can't really describe, but they call it the Brightlands. And we're following the main character, Joel, I think is his name, but he is a gay man who grew up in this town, was bullied for like homophobic reasons and left. And now he started getting weird text messages from his brother, who's in high school, plays for this football team, about the Brightlands. And so he goes back to town to figure out what happened to his brother, or like what's going on with his brother, and then his brother goes missing. So that is the beginning of this book. That is the setup and the premise. And the more you get into this town's secrets, the deeper and darker it goes. And it ends up being like really, really messed up. So if you're into that kind of thing, I know Gabby Reeds really liked this book. I did not, but it is what it is. And last, but certainly not least, a book that I've had multiple people read just so I could talk about the ending with them, because it is so like disturbing to me and like really messed up. This is the book that like kickstarted this video idea, and that is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica, who is an Argentine author. I think this is going to be made into a TV show in Argentina, so I'm about to get Surfshark so I can like use a VPN that says I'm in Argentina and stream it. But this is about a dystopic, futuristic Argentina where the meat is no good. You can't eat meat anymore. And so naturally, instead of like everyone converting to vegetarianism or veganism, in this society, people started eating each other.
Yes, first things first, everyone wants to know, are you a cannibal?
Yes.
And it's about like cannibalism, but it's not about cannibalism. It's about like farming for people, like raising people like you raise cattle and farming them and slaughtering them. There's like slaughterhouses, and our main character actually works in a slaughterhouse, and he and his wife are having some issues, and that's sort of what the book is about. It's more about them. What I loved about this book is that it's very like, what's the word? It's like slice of life, but with this really horrific setting. Watching all of these things happen, but the characters aren't reacting to them the way that like you would react to them because it's their normal life. Take that as you will. Very messed up ending. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and how you felt about them. And also, if you want to like talk about the endings with me, I would love that. But make sure you mark it as a spoiler so that you don't spoil anyone else in the comment section. That's the worst. Also, let me know what the most disturbing book you've ever read is. I have a penchant for reading disturbing things, and I would like to continue that. Thank you so much for watching this video yet again. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you would like to, you can also subscribe to my channel because I post 2 videos every single week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!